Welcome to the Fatu Network News Review today, 24th of October 2019. I am Omar Wali. The Truth, Reconciliation, Reparation Commission Executive Secretary Baba Gale Jallow has shed light on the reconciliation between Sana Sabali and Edward Singate, and Koro Sise's family also held a press conference. We also spoke to Imam Cherno Babali of the Kanifing Estate Mosque about the reconciliation between Sana Sabali and Edward Singate yesterday. But before all that, I'll also talk to Sidi Sane in United States about the event yesterday. But I will start with the papers, and the Standard newspaper is reporting that GRTS reacts to Dabo's attack. The Director General of the National Broadcaster, Abdou Toure, has responded to criticisms leveled against his institution by Ousainou Dabo, the leader of the United Democratic Party. On his return from abroad Tuesday, Mr. Dabo condemned GRTS for not only boycotting his welcome, but also 3 other important UDP functions in recent past. This is probably the 4th time that we are inviting GRTS to our event, and they have chosen to be absent. The first one was the late Solo Sandings Memorial Lecture, then the Brufut Rally, the Basse meeting, and today's welcome event, said Mr. Dabo. According to Dabo, he said all the media outlets present at the UDP function are private owned. Dabo said the event, the national broadcaster, Mr. Dabo said even the national broadcaster's coverage of the tragic accident involving the UDP youth official Papa Toure and 2 others was heavily biased because it concentrated only on the demise of their own staff, and no mention was made of Papa Toure until he, Dabo himself, had to call the UDP officials who contacted GRTS before it was corrected in their subsequent news bulletins. Mr. Dabo said such a behavior is only taking a country back to the dark days of Yahya Jammeh, when the state media refused to cover activities of the state, when the state media refused to cover the activities of organizations they felt are critical of the government. We are not in the position. We elected this government into power, and UDP play a leading role. We are in control of the National Assembly and the area councils, Dabo said. This is how Jammeh started controlling the narrative and entrenched himself by suppressing the media or the dissemination of other views, he said. Dabo added that the TRRC slogan has it that such thing shall never happen again, and he thinks that GRTS director will take heed of that and deploy his cameramen to UDP Bakau rally on Sunday. Dabo also apportioned blame on this to Information Minister Mr. Ibrahim Asila. Reacting to the claims, the Director General of the GRTS, Abdou Toure, said the national broadcaster has no deliberate policy of boycotting any party's rally. This issue, we are heavily constrained in terms of material resources. We do not have adequate machinery, cameras and other tools at our disposal to deploy to other functions. This does not even affect UDP or any other political rallies. We do not want to start something we cannot sustain, especially because we will be obliged to provide coverage for the activities of all parties, said Mr. Abdou Toure. And Edward and Sana Sabali reconcile. The former AFPRC junta members, Sana Sabali and Edward Singate, yesterday returned to the TRRC to end their deep-seated animosity between them. The duo initiated the 1994 coup d'etat, with Sabali playing a key role, but on Friday, 27 January 1995, Edward Singate led soldiers to arrest Sana Sabali, who went on to spend 9 years in prison under trump-up charges. The two never saw each other since that fateful January morning 24 years ago. And the Standard is also reporting that Barrow is among 40 leaders at the Russian-Africa Summit. President Barrow was among 40 heads of state at the government at the opening of the first ever Russia Summit in Sochi, Russia. Yesterday, the summit team on peace, security, and development seeks to address, among others, the ethnic conflict and acute political and social economic crisis in Africa. The National Assembly also shook over the deplorable conditions of schools. members of the National Assembly Select Committee on Education, currently on a countrywide tour, struggle to hold back tears during visit to some schools in the North Bank region. At Kerpate Basic Cycle, students sat on mats, while at Basic Primary School, pupils were helplessly kept in open wooden classrooms. The Point newspaper is also reporting that Jammeh oddly accused junglers of burning the Independent newspaper. That is a former oddly to exiled former President Yahya Jammeh, and one-time member of the patrol team of the Gambia Armed Forces. Wednesday told the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission that it was Mr. Jammeh who ordered his hit squad junglers to burn down the Independent newspaper. The Point is also reporting that Edward and Sana Sabali finally reconciled. That is all we have for you today on the papers. I will now turn to a story. The family of the late Finance Minister Osman Koro Sise has described the late former Finance Minister as someone who loved his country and family. Mr. Sise's family today held a press conference to react to events affecting Mr. Koro, who was allegedly murdered. The family's press conference is coming days after Edward Singate, who has been accused of masterminding Koro's murder, told TRRC he was not at Yankuba Toure's house the night the incident happened. More in this report.
The family's reaction comes 3 days after Edward Singate told the TRRC he did not go to Yankuba Toure's house the night Usman Koro Sise was bludgeoned. A sister to the late minister read a statement on behalf of the family.
Koro's legacy is about service, uplifting, and making a difference. And it should not be confused with cheap attempts to smear his reputation. And so we have heard a lot of forgiveness during these trials that have gone on. And we wanted to make sure that everybody understands from our perspective that forgiveness is not for the villain or the perpetrator. It is a victim's way of getting back their strength and their power. And forgiveness is also not a line that you cross after hearing somebody give a superficial or a pathetic apology. It is a path that you take. It's not just a line you cross when you hear somebody say something. And this path my family has decided to take a long time ago. And this is independent of anybody who had anything to do with what happened to my brother. We have decided to take this pathway a long time before anybody said anything. Okay? And so they do not get to dictate how we heal. We choose to decide when we heal. And we have done that a long time ago. They have tried to eliminate my brother, but unfortunately, all they have done was amplified his message. Okay? And in the last 23 years, we have wondered what we would say, what we would do, okay, to Koro's killers. And honestly, all we feel is just sadness. Because true power is not the use of big guns and terrorizing innocent citizens. True power is to hold back from using power when you can, and instead you use mercy. That's true power. And so Koro's life was not ours to forgive. The killers would need to ask for the Almighty's forgiveness for that. We, right, and we hope that, we pray and hope that He, the Almighty, would show them more mercy than they have shown my brother and their other victims. We believe justice will be served, and we continue to thank the Gambian people for their unwavering support. Okay, we are very appreciative, and we hope that everybody remains optimistic. For justice delayed is not justice denied.
According to Koro's family, they do not have any expectations regarding the long march to justice.
So for us, the way we go by with it is that we don't go into this process having expectations. Because when you have expectations, you run into the tendency of getting disappointed. So we don't have any expectations. We just kind of go ahead, go with the punches and see how things play out. But we truly have no expectations at this time. And that's what prevents us from getting disappointed.
The family, however, has faith in the TRRC.
It has nothing to do with the commission. The TRRC, which we think is actually quite, a fine body, it's it's a group of people, or it's an entity that we have never had in the Gambia before. So this is one of its kind. It is the first we've had, and we definitely, as Koro's family, we believe in it. We want to give them a chance to look through everything and make their assessment. So we think that the Gambian people should definitely give them a chance too.
Edward Singate has been the man whose name has featured prominently as the man who killed Koro Ceesay, with at least 4 people, 2 of whom were Singate's bodyguards, telling the TRRC the former AFPRC junta vice chairman was at Mr. Toure's house the night of the murder. Koro's family say they are not surprised by Edward's denial.
We were not surprised. Let's just put it that way. We were not surprised by this. Now, it would have been nice and it would have been great for somebody to come out, and tell the truth. And because repentance includes telling the truth first, right? Before we heal, we need to know the truth with the person, and then you move on to healing. You can't jump from let's heal without getting to know the truth. And so for us, we were not surprised at all. Let's just put it that way.
Koro's family will now have to wait for the TRRC to draw a conclusion whether it was in fact Edward Singate who killed their loved one.
Hey, what are you doing here?
I'm going to replace my AfriCell 3G SIM card.
Why use a 3G SIM card when you have a 4G phone? Replace your 3G SIM card today for the real AfriCell 4G SIM and receive 1 GB of internet data for free.
Really?
Yes, get 1 GB for free just by replacing your SIM card at any AfriCell outlet. With no loss of contact, the cost of bundle from the 3G SIM.
Now, the reconciliation between Sana Sabal and Edward Singate yesterday received a lot of condemnation from the public. And today we spoke to the Imam of Kanifing Estate, Imam Baba Lee, and the Executive Secretary of the Truth, Reconciliation, Reparation Commission, Baba Gale Jallo. Let's take a listen.
And I hope that you will be able to find it deep in your heart to be able to forgive me, and also the same for your family. I already did that from the day I left the prisons. At the gate, I have said it clearly, I have forgiven. Even Jama, if he stood standing before me, I would tell him the same thing. And today, I read it again on behalf of my family and myself. I have forgiven completely, wholeheartedly from my mind.
Reconcile. And there are many verses to support that. There is one saying, إِذَا جَنَهُ بِالسِّلْمِ فَإِسْنَالَهُ وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّهُ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. When one extends his hand to you for reconciliation, the interests of the nation and peace, you have to extend a bigger and longer one to him. That means you have to accept him as a believer, as a Muslim, and even without speaking about religion, that's what humanity dictates, because we cannot forget. To forget is not possible, but we are expected as human beings, no matter what religion you belong to, or what political party you belong to, or what concept you have for your country, reconciliation is the only solution. We cannot continue keeping anger in our hearts. We cannot continue being angry all time long. At the end of the day, it will affect our health. It will affect our families. It will affect our children forever. We don't need to be like that. We don't need to be revengers. We need to be able to forgive and then move forward. That's what Gambia called for, and that's what Islam called for, and that's what humanity called for. So really, it may be, there may be some people said the timing. It may be true, it may be not, but what matters is, let's create a conducive environment that we all can be comfortable, live in peace and harmony.
Many were not happy with what happened yesterday. As somebody who was also a victim of Yahya Jammeh, what does this mean for the country? It started with these 2 men. They decided to reconcile. Are you hopeful that the country will be able to reconcile?
Well, I'm not only hopeful, but I'm also praying for that. because really we all, I believe all Gambians, we may have our personal differences, but that should not be geared towards destroying our beloved nation. And we all know, if we want to remember the sufferings that we all undergo, really we will never have Gambia as it was. That's why I believe the starting of reconciliation from these two big fish of Yaya Jammeh is not a bad thing, really. And we should allow it to continue. I was asked yesterday by one of the Gambian journalists that what would be my advice for reconciliation. I said my advice is what we need to do as Gambians, to use credible Gambians, to use respectful Gambians, try to work out a venue where we can reconcile. Of course, when we talk about reconciliation, it cannot be just out of nothing. Some people are real victims. They need to be compensated. And compensating them is an obligation to any existing government. As it is now, is Adama Barrow's government, and I know he knows that very well, and I believe we all Gambians, we love to reconcile and we love to get our Gambia in one piece as it was.
What will be your final message to the public there?
Well, my message is I urge all Gambians, regardless to your political affiliation or religious affiliation or ethnicity or whatever, let's set all those things aside and try to be more human, to be more respectful, to mind our words. Any word that can generate fitna, trouble, we should avoid it. We all should try to be on one page, and the page is peace. The page is reconciliation. The page is unity. And even our political, party politics, when I say party politics, I believe we need to slow it down a bit till we pass these waves of fitna that are blowing all over the world. We have seen what is going on right now in Guinea-Conakry. It is nobody's interest. Innocent people are killed, poor people are killed because of politicians for their own personal interests. So what I'm advising, especially the young ones, the sons and daughters of this Gambia, let them know the future belongs to them. Whether the elderly people like it or not, that's the reality. But it's belong to them if only they are responsible enough, if only they take care of themselves, if only they know they don't allow anybody to drive them, to use them as tools. Let them not to allow that. Many of us are talking about fitna or otherwise, but we keep our children out of the scope of fitna. So I am advising them, let us all be peaceful, talk about peace, walk about peace, and then we can achieve peace. Thank you, Sheikh Omar.
I think it's very healthy that people express their opinions on matters of national importance. That's what we have been fighting for. I think it's very good that people are able to express their opinions and condemn public institutions and things that they don't want to see. However, I don't think that people should use foul language against anybody. That is uncivil. It's not the way that Gambian culture is. It's not the way that we are brought up in our individual families. So I think people can express their opinions, but to go out there and start insulting people and calling people names and calling people corrupt and just making some allegations that have no basis in reality, that's not helpful. Secondly, I don't think that a lot of people really understand the mandate of the TRRC, and we've been trying our best for the past year to promote the mandate, to make sure that people understand it, but there is still a deficit in understanding.
When do you think you will be able to fill this deficit so that people understand that part of the mandate of the TRRC is not only to find the truth, but reconciliation among people?
Yeah, that we have been trying and we'll continue trying. We've had outreach activities, we have had radio programs and television programs, and we've issued updates all the time. I'm sure a lot of people see the updates that we write regularly. In the statements that the chair makes at the beginning of every session, we mention some of these things. So we'll just continue trying to do that. And the mandate of the TRRC is to create a true impartial historical record of human rights violations for the past 22 years in order to facilitate justice for victims, in order to promote healing and reconciliation. That is one of the key pillars of the TRRC. And when the TRRC Act says promote healing and reconciliation, it doesn't say among some Gambians. It doesn't say it, but it says promote healing and reconciliation. And the way we can read that, since we are dealing with a Gambian society, a national society, is that we promote healing and reconciliation in the Gambia and for all Gambians, among all Gambians, and between all Gambians. So that is the basis of our acceptance to facilitate the reconciliation event between these two people.
The outcry or the criticism from the public yesterday, will this in any way change TRRC in the event that another group of individuals want to reconcile at the TRRC?
No, I don't think so. I think that we will do it the way we think best. In this case, it was decided to do it openly, like we do the hearings. Now, the TRRC process has been described by experts in transitional justice, people who've spent all their lives studying transitional justice, as the most accessible truth commission in history. Now, that is something that the entire Gambian population should be proud of, that the TRRC is now considered a model of how truth commissions should operate. So we have nothing to hide. If we were doing things that are not proper or that are illegal or contrary to the act, then we would have cause to hide. As it stands, we would do things openly and transparently. And if any crisis or any criticisms come out of it, then it would be for us to manage it. But we won't hide. We won't stop doing things publicly just because there is a public outcry.
Baba Gala Jallow, the Executive Secretary of the TRRC, and Imam Baba Lee there. So viewers, that's where I will end this program today. From me and my team, we thank you so much.